We've been taught that if you want more, you have to do more, that you must hustle harder, stretch further, push past your limits. And while discipline and ambition have their place, most of us are drowning in this belief, exhausted, disoriented, and wondering why, despite all our striving, life still feels out of reach. The reason isn't lack of talent. It's not even laziness. It's the illusion of effort. The idea that only in doing, pushing, forcing, can we create real change. But what if this idea is upside down? What if the harder you try, the more you block the very thing you desire? Think of a pool of water. When it's still, it reflects perfectly. You can see the sky, the trees, even your own face. But stir it up, and everything disappears into chaos. We've been stirring our lives for too long. Effort, unchecked, becomes resistance. It becomes a signal to the universe that you don't believe in the natural flow of your life. That you must control every variable, manipulate every outcome. But quantum reality doesn't work like that. In the quantum field, particles respond to observation, not manipulation. Presence, not force, is the language of creation. And so, the greatest shift isn't in doing more, it's in seeing clearly, in resting into the stillness that allows you to feel what's true, not what's urgent. This isn't an excuse for passivity, it's an invitation to alignment. A call to question every place in your life where you are over-efforting, over-planning, overcompensating for a deeper lack of trust. Where are you gripping so tightly that life can't breathe through you? Where are you chasing outcomes that are simply mirroring your inner unrest? Sometimes the most radical act is to pause, to wait, to listen. There is an old Zen saying, "Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes, and the grass grows by itself." What a wild thing to consider, that perhaps your next breakthrough doesn't require another to-do list, but a complete undoing of who you think you need to be. Because when you're endlessly doing, you're often doing from fear. Fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough, fear of missing out. Fear, by its nature, constricts the field. It narrows perception, limits vision. And when you're creating from that place, you build walls instead of pathways. But when you dare to stop, to let go, to breathe into that space between, suddenly the world opens. Ideas come, not from frantic thought, but from deep knowing. Solutions arise that logic couldn't conceive. Energy flows back into your body, and with it, the clarity to act only when action is needed. Not because you're addicted to the illusion of progress. What if you could trust that everything meant for you is not only already on its way, but trying to reach you through the noise you keep creating? What if manifestation isn't about demanding from the universe, but about removing all the inner static that keeps you from receiving it? This is not easy. Slowing down can feel like death to an ego trained in urgency. But transformation never shouts, it whispers, and you'll only hear it when you're still enough to listen. So ask yourself, where in your life are you mistaking effort for value? Where are you filling your schedule to avoid facing a deeper void within? When was the last time you sat quietly, not to plan or prepare, but simply to be? The path of quantum stillness isn't the absence of life, it's the beginning of real life. Not life as reaction, but life as creation. Not from the mind alone, but from the field where all possibilities exist. And in that field, the less you do, the more you become. In the world of quantum physics, there's a concept that defies common logic. Nothingness is not empty. What we call empty space is actually teeming with potential, waves of probability waiting to collapse into form. This isn't just theory, it's the truth at the foundation of all matter. And in the same way, your stillness is not a void, it's not wasted time. It's a cradle for birth, of thought, of insight, of change. Think of it this way, a seed does not bloom because you keep digging it up. It blooms because the soil holds it in stillness. The universe works through cycles, expansion and contraction, motion and pause, breath and rest. But in our culture, we worship expansion and demonize the pause. We glorify action, but fear what might surface when we stop. And yet, in that stop, in that pause, is where the magic waits. Quantum stillness is not about absence, it's about readiness. The space between breaths is where life resets itself. The space between thoughts is where inspiration is born. Most people miss it because they are too busy chasing the next moment. But you're here. You're noticing. That's already enough. So many of our struggles come from resisting the stillness. We equate silence with stagnation and inactivity with failure. But have you ever noticed how your best ideas arrive in the shower, or while walking, or lying in bed before sleep? That's not an accident. It's because you've momentarily stopped interfering. The noise has dropped, and something wiser can speak. Stillness is your access point to the field, the invisible layer of intelligence that underlies all reality. This is where the unmanifest becomes manifest, not through control, but through connection. And connection doesn't happen in noise. It happens in quiet. You don't need to understand quantum physics to live this. You only need to observe your own life. Try this. Stop chasing clarity. Stop forcing solutions. Instead, sit with the unknown. Breathe into it. Ask a question, then release it. Let the field answer, not in words, but in synchronicities, nudges, subtle shifts. We often say we want change, but deep down, most people are terrified of letting go of the momentum they've built, even when that momentum is leading them nowhere. Why? Because speed gives the illusion of purpose. It keeps you from having to sit with the deeper questions. But those questions, who am I beneath the roles I play? What is truly mine to do in this life? Can only be heard in stillness. And here's the paradox. The less you force life to move, the more it moves on your behalf. Not because you gave up, but because you finally got out of the way. You stop resisting the natural intelligence of the universe and began to work with it. So, where in your life are you still trying to outrun your own wisdom? What if you made room today for stillness, not as a luxury, but as a power source? Not as an afterthought, but as the starting point. In the deepest stillness, you meet the part of you that has always been whole. The part untouched by striving, unaffected by success or failure. And from there, creation flows, not from lack, but from presence. Not from need, but from knowing. This is quantum stillness, the space before the wave becomes the world. It is where reality listens, and if you are brave enough to be quiet, to be still, you will begin to feel that the universe is already answering. Perhaps it always has been. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you desire is your unwillingness to trust? Not trust in some abstract divine plan, but trust in your own vibration, your own frequency. Because in the quantum world, everything is vibration. What you are being speaks louder than anything you are doing. Doing less is not laziness. It is faith in motion. A kind of inner calibration to the truth that you don't need to hustle to earn what you already are. It is the deep understanding that your energy is the real currency of creation. That alignment is more powerful than effort. Imagine standing at the edge of a river, trying to force the current to flow faster. You push, you scream, you strain, but the water doesn't care. It flows as it flows. Then imagine stepping into the current and letting it carry you. You're not passive, you're attuned. You're co-creating with a force infinitely wiser than your mental plans. The frequency of trust feels like exhale. It feels like the unclenching of a jaw you didn't realize you were holding. It feels like softening into your body, into this moment, into the awareness that nothing real can be rushed, and what's meant for you will never miss you. But trusting that deeply often means unlearning everything you've ever been taught about success. You've been told to fight, to grind, to sacrifice peace in pursuit of glory. Yet, look around. How many people have all the boxes checked and still feel empty? That's not success. That's dissonance. Coherence is the opposite. It's when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions all speak the same frequency. That frequency becomes your magnet. And the more coherent you are, the less you have to chase, because what you seek starts seeking you. So many people try to manifest from a place of desperation, but the quantum field doesn't respond to words. It responds to tone. You can say all the affirmations in the world, but if your energy says, "I'm afraid," the universe will mirror that. To live from the frequency of trust is to act only when moved, to speak only when aligned, to move forward not because you're afraid of standing still, but because stillness has revealed the next step. It is an act of courage, of surrender, and of power. So I'll ask you, where are you still acting from fear disguised as ambition? Where are you confusing motion with meaning? If you stopped right now, really stopped, what would you hear? Who would you become? The life you want is not on the other side of more action. It's on the other side of clearer energy. The cleaner your signal, the faster your reality rearranges. That's not magic, it's mechanics. Subtle, emotional mechanics that shift the field in ways no checklist ever could. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Trusting feels like jumping with no net. But here's the truth. You are the net. Your presence, your belief, your willingness to be with the unknown, that's what holds you. That's what calls reality into form. So if you feel the pull to slow down, to stop pretending, to let go of the noise, follow it. That's not weakness. That's your soul tuning its frequency to something greater than survival. That's the first note of real creation. Remember, the universe isn't waiting for your perfection. It's waiting for your alignment. It doesn't speak in calendars or goals. It speaks in energy. And the day you truly trust your energy to lead, you begin to create in a way that defies logic, yet feels like home. You don't have to look far to see the real-world power of doing less. Some of the most extraordinary breakthroughs came not through effort, but through surrender. Einstein didn't discover the theory of relativity while hunched over equations for 18 hours a day. He was riding his bicycle, letting his mind wander. Oprah Winfrey has said that her most profound career turning points came not when she was pushing, but when she released control and returned to presence. Why does this happen? Because real breakthroughs rarely arise from stress. They come in stillness, in the liminal spaces we usually rush past. When the mind softens, the heart opens, and when the heart opens, life enters. I've seen this in artists who stopped painting to breathe, only to return with the most luminous work of their lives. In business owners who stepped away from the chaos of scaling and suddenly realized the one simple shift that doubled their impact. In mothers who, in the quiet of a sleepless night, felt a clarity that no parenting book could give them. Stillness is not silence, it is translation. It is how life speaks when we finally get quiet enough to listen, and yet so few allow this pause. We fear it. We fear losing momentum, being seen as weak, or worse, being forgotten. But real power doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't need to prove itself. It radiates. And that radiance comes from deep inner alignment, not frantic activity. Doing less does not mean doing nothing. It means choosing with precision. It means listening deeply before acting. It means letting go of the illusion that more equals better. Often, more just means distracted. More just means scattered. More is a nervous system stuck in survival. When you begin to live from stillness, something remarkable happens. Time stretches. Your day doesn't feel like a blur. Conversations deepen. Ideas land. People notice. You become magnetic, not because you are chasing, but because you are grounded. Embodied. Clear. And others will feel this shift. Some may not understand it. Some may resist it, especially those still caught in the addiction of hustle. But some will be drawn to it like breath to lungs. You will attract not just opportunity, but resonance. The right people, the right timing, the right flow. Ask yourself now, what would change if I stopped trying to force the puzzle together and simply held the pieces with trust? What would I see if I stopped staring so hard at the problem and softened my gaze? One woman I knew ran a company that was failing. She'd tried everything. New hires, new strategies, late nights. Nothing worked. One weekend, exhausted, she stepped away. Took 3 days without email, without fixing. She sat in nature and let herself feel the grief of carrying so much. And in that grief, clarity came. She was building someone else's dream. That Monday, she pivoted the company. 6 months later, it flourished. That is the power of stillness. It brings truth, not as a lightning bolt, but as a whisper. It brings direction, not from analysis, but from resonance. The answers are not out there. They've been waiting in the quiet all along. To live like this is not to abandon action. It's to reclaim it. To make action sacred again. Each step intentional. Each choice clear. You become not just a doer, but a conductor, directing energy with clarity, not chaos. So, where in your life have you been grinding for what might simply arrive if you allowed it? What truth have you buried under effort, hoping it would stay silent? You are not here to fight reality. You are here to harmonize with it. And the most exquisite harmonies are born not from noise, but from the space between the notes. The practice of quantum stillness is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you are when you're no longer trying to prove your worth. It's not passive, it's deeply intentional. A devotion to living as if your inner state creates your outer world, because it does. It begins in small, sacred ways. You wake up and resist the urge to check your phone. You sit for 5 minutes and breathe, not to achieve anything, but to return, to feel your own frequency again, to notice the river beneath the noise. You start to recognize that not every email needs a reply, not every conflict needs your defense, not every opportunity is meant to be chased. You begin curating your energy like it's precious, because it is. You realize that your nervous system is not a machine, it's an antenna. And when it's calm, tuned, still, you receive more, not less. Quantum stillness is the art of becoming receptive. And receptivity is not waiting around, it's the subtle inner readiness that lets life land. It's like a flower that opens to the sun, not by effort, but by trust in the light. You don't have to force your way forward. You only have to bloom when it's time. This practice deepens over time. Some days it looks like saying no to one more task so you can walk in nature. Other days it's about pausing before you speak, asking yourself, is this coming from love or from fear? Over time, your presence becomes more spacious. Your thoughts slow. You're no longer chasing alignment, you're living it. And this changes everything. It changes your relationships because people feel your calm and soften into it. It changes your work because ideas come through you with less friction and more flow. It changes your body because your biology thrives in coherence. You begin to feel safe enough to create, to expand, to receive. This is not a quick fix. It is a path, a return, a sacred remembering that the universe is not moved by your panic, but by your precision. That your dreams do not require your exhaustion, only your embodiment. So let this be your practice, not doing less for the sake of minimalism, but doing less as a spiritual discipline, as a commitment to stop acting out of fear, to stop filling space with noise, to stop measuring your worth by your productivity. Instead, fill space with presence, fill time with trust. Measure your success by how aligned you feel, not how busy you look. You are already connected to the field of infinite possibility. You don't need to earn your place in it, you only need to quiet yourself enough to hear its pulse. What would shift if you believe that the universe wants to meet you halfway, but can't find you beneath all your busyness? What becomes possible when you stop chasing and start aligning? In the end, quantum stillness is a return to your true home. Not in some faraway place, but here. In your breath, in your presence, in the sacred still point where you remember, nothing real can be rushed, and everything real arrives on time. You've just journeyed through the essence of quantum stillness, not as a concept, but as a living, breathing invitation to come home to yourself. In a world that demands more, faster, louder, you now hold a different kind of wisdom. that your true power is not in the noise you make, but in the signal you emit. This isn't about giving up your dreams or ambitions, it's about anchoring them in something deeper than fear. It's about creating from clarity, not chaos, from coherence, not conflict, and from presence, not panic. So let this message echo within you long after these words end. May you begin to notice the space between your thoughts. May you trust what arises in the pause. And may you find again and again that doing less is not the absence of power, but the refinement of it. If this resonated with something deep inside you, don't let it fade. Share this with someone you love. Reflect in the comments. Where in your life are you ready to stop forcing and start flowing? Because now you know, the still point is where all great turning begins. And your stillness, quiet as it may seem, is already changing everything.